Hi.
Hi. Don't we look like a wonderful old couple?
We're all couple and relax, and it's going to be a relaxed time.
Welcome to Giving Tuesday.
Welcome to SaraSolo Productions. My name is Ann Morrison, and this is. I think we should probably get rid of that. It just needs to be quiet. Someone's trying to share with us, and that's not good.
Wonderful. Okay.
So there we are. Anyway, this is Blake Walton.
I'm Blake Walton.
And we're so glad you're here. This is Giving Tuesday.
Yeah.
This is our first Giving Tuesday.
And this is all benefiting our educational outreach programming, SoloSynergy.
Which is kind of fun. You know, for those of you who don't really know much about us or just a little bit about us, Blake and I have fallen in love with the solo art form, solo theater art form, and have been fairly successful with our art form on our own, and have been a part of the United Solo Festival in New York. Actually, we're part of their academy. That's probably the largest solo festival in the world right now, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. And while we were there, meeting the other solo artists who won awards, like we did, wouldn't it be grand if there was a place where we could develop? Because it's a lonely process. I think it's very lonely.
Yeah.
It's tremendously lonely. And we thought Sarasota, Florida would be a great place to have a retreat. But finding a place is going to be hard to find, right? So,
yeah, exactly. But not in Sarasota.
But we decided to start a festival instead. And we did it for how many years?
Well, we started in 2015 was our first festival.
Mm-hmm.
So we did it for, this is our 8th year, actually.
Excellent. We're going into our 8th year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which will be at a Winterfest, which is great. Yeah. But where focus is really interested in development and helping solo artists create their pieces and then helping them find a platform to get started. And so that's why we started the festival. But we wanted the education to start.
So we started developing some programming. The first was actually our workshops that we had throughout festival time. Workshops on creating some kind of solo performance, either cabaret or play, autobiographical.
Could be physical theater, it could be spoken word, what have you.
Our
festival was over 2 weekends, so this would all happen in the twixt in between week.
Yeah. And then we developed an idea from actually a grant that was we're applying for, the Gen to Gen grant that offered.
What is that?
Well, it's through encore.org. It's an organization that likes to combine elder folk, seniors, 50 plus seniors, and
or adults,
young people,
or elders.
Yeah, elders, adults. We call them all kinds of things. We've been called all kinds of things too. And combining them in some form, in whether it be through art, through mechanics, through any kind of science, but finding mentorship through this intergenerational relationship.
So we thought, hey, bingo.
What we do is theater.
Yeah.
And so why don't we think about...
actually, several years back, I've been working with a charter middle school, and they asked if I could come and do something creative. Mm-hmm. It was actually the brainchild of Richard Stone, who is a wonderful healing through storytelling friend of mine. And we thought it'd be fun to kind of do an intergenerational thing. So the students had to interview an elder and vice versa. They went into a nursing home in order to do this, or assisted living. So we just kind of thought, well, should we try this with us? Yeah. And we teamed up with Carrie Mills at Booker Middle School with her theater department. She decided that her intermediate class would probably be perfect for her for this development of where they were. And she decided that she liked it so much to make it part of her curriculum, so that they have to address creating a monologue based on an interview with an elder. And then the fun thing is the elder gets to do the same with the teen.
And we teamed with another teaching artist, Hedda Matzahausen. She brought in some remarkable folk who were above 60. We'll call them elders, because that's
we affectionately call them.
We think of elders.
Sit at the feet of the elders. Yes. Yeah. And had a
It
lot
was
of
fun.
knowledge on working with not issues, but people who have laughter workshops is probably, I say, was the best thing to describe.
Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. She'd find humor and bring humor in as a therapy for people. So having her come in and work with our elders and teens was so
Brought her
perfect to get us started.
incredible energy and helped us really create the basis for that program.
And this has been ongoing since.
Yes, ever since we brought in anywhere up to 20 adults into a classroom of up to 20 students. And each year we come up with a very profound showcase where the students basically, after getting to know the adults, have to create a monologue. Well, let's
I think I have something here that might be kind of fun to look at.
Annie, before we say that, I just want to welcome the folk who have tuned in.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to periodically be talking about some wonderful monies we've already raised throughout the day, which is
tell me about it. I want to know.
Well, we're now we started with 3,000 yesterday. And as of 4 o'clock today, we are up to 6,225.
Oh, I like that.
Which is great. That's halfway through our $12,000 mark. So thank all of you who are donating. Later on, I think I'm going to give a couple little names out. I might as well tell you some of them. Hazel Edlinger just gave us $100. Alan Sickle just gave us $100. Neil Cohen, both Ellen and Neil have been part of our intergenerational program. Neil Cohen gave us $35. Carl Nudie, $50. Our beautiful friend Ellen Kramer, $100. Carol Wolf, who's also part of our intergenerational program, gave us $100. Steve Dicklich, who's been a supporter throughout our festival time, $100. Great. So those people all have come in recently. So that's really wonderful. I see that Steve Petmagrian is here.
Hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Here we go. I'm going to just play this for us here. Right. There's no sound to this. This is what we show our elders when we're trying to recruit our elders. It's gives it an idea of what happened our very first year coming into Carrie's class. And what you're seeing there is a lovely mosaic of their final performance. But they come together in the classroom, get to know each other. We play a series of theater games. And then the elders get to sit almost like we call it speed dating, right?
Yeah.
Where they get to sit down with an elder and get to know a little bit about them. After a few minutes, we have them switch to another elder to get to know them a little bit. And I'm quite pleased with the maturity of these 12 and 13-year-old students and how well they conduct themselves in front of strangers.
At the end of that process, the students actually choose their elders, not in front of their face, but with the guidance of Carrie Mills, the instructor. And it always seems to work out really quite well. So then they go into the classroom together, ideally.
Start working, eventually.
And face each other and tell each other parts of their lives, and that's what we're getting.
Both generations get together. This was from pictures of our first performance that was at the Art Center.
Yeah, that's the last bit of it, usually done in January, the following January. And it's profound because this is the time when some of these people, for the very first time, are in front of a live audience, and they're speaking on somebody they've gotten to know really well, and sometimes performing as the student to very good effect. It's quite wonderul. Very, very, Annie loves the word delicious.
I know.
Delicious.
There's this teaching artist with wonderful Carrie Mills. It's fun because the elders don't have to have the same restrictions, as you can see, as the teens. They can express in different ways. They may write a poem in a tribute to the student instead of becoming the student and telling the story. We had a jazz musician one year who you'll get to hear a little bit about do a composition of his student because he isn't a monologue writer. And there's our first year wonderful crew of students and adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. While we are doing this, Steve Petmagrian has expressed that he has raised $350.
Yay!
I was going to say 1,000, Steve, but that would be a different
fantastic.
kind of commitment. But thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
Yay, whoopee.
Wonderful.
I have a video. So it goes on for a while, but I think it's really wonderful. It's listening to the students and seeing some of the elders perform and the students perform through several of the years. So I'm just going to let that play. I think you're going to quite enjoy it. And of course, I don't have my glasses on right now, so I have to lean in to find what I need to find. And I'm just going to let this speak for itself.
I learned a lot more inside than knowing about it being before, and I learned from developing faster. And I stayed in longer, so I learned more. Not much, but still. I was 5. I started. Hi, I'm Jackson Carney. I'm so happy to be part of this project called Gen to Gen. When I first heard that we were doing this, it kind of like widened my brain, and I thought of all the things that I could have my stories shared with everybody in Sarasota through the festival. I got so excited, and I was so happy that I got to write my own monologue based on the person that I was interviewing. Her name is Louise, and she is just so awesome. And this program has been such a joy so far, and I can't wait to write my monologue.
Jackson Carney, and I participated in the first ever SaraSolo project at Booker Middle. I was partnered with someone who was a professional in the field of theater, so it was really cool to get that experience from her. And it's definitely an experience that I will take with me for the rest of my life. And I really hope that, other kids can get that same experience as I did. One thing that was so special about it, especially for me, is that you really got to connect with a different generation that you wouldn't normally get to connect with. And I feel like sitting down for, the many days that we sat down and just talked to each other really opened my eyes to see that, there are so many different generations, and especially generations like us, the younger generation and the older generation, are often ignored, and our stories deserve to be told just like everyone else's. And that was very much highlighted by this experience. So yeah.
I want to live under a spotlight. I belong under a spotlight. When I am standing or sitting or kneeling or lying or laughing or even crying under a spotlight, well then I know I'm home. I'm where I belong. I'm on the stage and I'm acting. After high school, I'm going to New York to an acting college, and I'm going to study acting. You see, I want to go into the theater when I grow up. Speaking of growing up, I got to play Curly, one of the lost boys, in a production of Peter Pan when I was 9 years old. Remember that great song that has the line, "I won't grow up, I don't want to go to school, just to learn to be a parent and recite a silly rule"? When I was 5 years old, I went to a spring break camp where I played soccer and football and went swimming. I was terrible at sports. I hate sports, and I love theater. I played sports from age 4 to 6, but at age 7, I started auditioning for actual plays at the Venice Theater. So now you know the chronology of my early life. Let's review. From ages 4 to 6, I played sports, but at the magical age of 7, I found the theater, and at age 9, I found myself in Peter Pan. Oh, I have played other roles on stage too. I was Mr. Beaver in a production of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It was a medium-sized character. I had 42 lines. That's the show where they put a spotlight on me for the first time ever, and it was very special. One night a guy came up to me and told me that my monologue was fantastic. He said that me and another kid were the best parts of the whole show. I've done some other shows too. I was in My Son, Pinocchio Jr., and I was in Wiley and the Hairy Man. I was the understudy for Ralphie in A Christmas Story. I got to go on for 3 performances, 2 matinees and 1 evening. It was the best experience ever. You know, one of the reasons I started acting is because I was bullied a lot, and I needed theater to get away from the bullying. I can't think of a better way to ignore the bullies than to get on that stage and act. Have I told you that I love doing monologues? They are my favorite. I feel real joy just talking to you about acting and theater. Thank you very much for being a supportive audience. My closing thought is, I hope my joy for theater inspires you to always find your joy. Thank you. Oh, by the way, they call me Jackson.
My name's Anthony Corbedo. I'm in 7th grade, and I love this program. I got to work with an elder, shared a story with them. They made a fabulous monologue. They shared a story with me. I made a monologue about it. It was awesome. I loved how it turned out.
Good. What would you tell somebody who doesn't know anything about this? Would you recommend any middle schooler who does it?
Yeah, I would recommend to do it. If they want to be like an actor when they grow up, like me, this is an opportunity for them to practice, because you won't always have a script to read off of. Sometimes you have to write your own and make your own blocking. And yes.
And how was that, writing your own monologue?
It was inspiring, because I've never done it before, but like write it and perform it. Also, it made me think about other things that I wouldn't normally think about if I was just reading off a normal script, you know?
Excellent. Did you learn anything about people who are a lot older than you that you didn't know before?
Partially. I learned, like, they're more wiser, most definitely, and they have a lot more to offer. Like, if you're just talking to, like, a millennial or, you know.
And did you and Laura have anything in common?
We both like martial arts. We're both loud, but we both talk very differently. She talks a lot slower than I do, has more of an accent.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
Alright, so I walk up to the back door to go outside, and my babysitter surprises me with 2 fishing poles. And in my head, I just think of how many minnows I can just scoop up and eat for dinner. All my life, I was living next to a fish fiesta, and I didn't know it. The last thing my mom told me before she left was, "Don't fall into the lake." My babysitter said, "Like that'll never happen." So we're walking to the lake, and I think back on what my mom and babysitter had said. Could I really fall into the lake? People don't fall into a lake on a regular basis, do they? Oh well. So we get to the lake, and I put on some nice green sardine. We get to the lake, and I'm baiting the hook, and I put on this nice green sardine. And if I'm going to be honest, I really wanted to eat it. Anyways, I reeled the hook into about a quarter or half into the lake. And keep in mind, this wasn't a very big lake. So the few times I'm reeling it in, I'm not getting any grabs on my hook. Nothing but a little activity in the water. Right before we just go back inside, I feel a little tug on my hook. I got to grab. As soon as the fish gets a hold of the hook, it instantly turns into a tug-of-war match. Me versus the fish. The tug-of-war battle continues for a few more minutes. I decide to stand up so I can get a better angle on it. but the fish just kept tugging me closer and closer to the edge of the bank. One last pull, he sent me flying into the lake. Landed in the lake, got my pants soaking wet and full of mud. Got my brand new shoes drenched. Fortunately, a kind man was nice enough to help me up out of the water. And my babysitter was too busy screaming her head off. So I'm walking home and I feel my shoes squishing and squeaking. The back door opens. I see my mom's head peek out. She's mad. She sees my demolished wet pants, sneakers, and the horrific mud trail I've dragged in. That's when she snaps. What happened? You know what? I'm done with your foolishness. Get your butt in this house right now, and I mean now. You're grounded for a month. No more Ed Sullivan forever.
I wanted to win this match for him. I glanced around the ring. I wanted to see who my next opponent would be. Ethan, his red hair blazing, swaggered up and stepped into the ring. He was at least a head taller than me. We sparred. He got a few punches in, but I did too. I prepared for my axe kick. I looked for the opportunity, and then, yes, good kick, I thought to myself. I prepared for another kick, but I lost my balance. I saw Ethan's foot coming right for my chest. Oh! Good kick. He got the points. As I was recovering, I saw Ethan getting ready for a spinning heel kick, but I blocked it with my arms. Well, before I knew it, he was back again and kicked me in the chest again. That was the end of the match. I lost. I saw Ethan coming towards me, his hand outstretched to shake mine. Wow, he's a humble dude. We shook and said, no problem. I walked to the edge of the ring. I looked over the ledge for my mom. There she was. Our eyes locked on one another. She said, cool, honey. And it was cool. I am cool. Yeah.
I don't write words. I write music. And when I first got involved in this, and I said, I don't know, am I going to have to interview a child, and the child's going to get something from me, and what am I going to get from the child? And I was impressed that she wasn't doing this, and that she could speak, and that she was intelligent and thoughtful, and a little edgy. and that really worked for me too. So I wrote, what we've been doing is reflecting on what we've gotten from the kids. So I wrote a jazz song that reflects what I got from Dakota. And the name of the tune is called Dakota. Oh, it works. I found really cool was really the going to the rehearsal of the adults about a week ago and watching, taking in how much they had absorbed these children. All right? And I said to myself, well, that's not really a whole lot different from what you did. You just don't do it with words. I can't do anything with words. So, and my family reminds me of that on a regular basis.
So you wrote a music piece of music, didn't
Right.
you?
I wrote something that I felt under the somebody set me up and said, write a jazz tune. So I said, okay. So I wrote something that kind of sort of swings, but mostly reflects and tries to capture the character of this person that I found really fun just to be with. She's very open and she was very clear, and she took enough risks in conversation with an old guy, that allowed me to experience some of the depth of character that she brings to the table. Because most kids, you go, hi, how are you? They go, fine, how are you? And I go, oh God. and this kid didn't get driving home with this glow. I don't have another word.
What would you tell somebody, a stranger, about this program?
I would say there are still some good children out there.
And you discovered that today.
And I was pleasantly surprised.
I think one of the biggest learnings is that we are all more alike than we are different. Whether or not you're 14 or 44 or 94, I think we all have the same emotions, we even have a lot of the same experiences. Just kind of fun. I had a fun thing with my little fella. His name is Antonio. And because my name on my driver's license is Antoinette, my name tag said Antoinette, even though I go by Tony. So my grandparents were Antonio and Antoinette. Isn't that amazing?
Oh my goodness.
It was just a fun way to meet somebody, and there was an instant connection because of that, and then I think from there, it just, even meeting tonight, he said, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, I'm so nervous. I think the age blurs. It really has been interesting to see what happens between us. And just a very wide open, I was delighted with the fellow that I got said to me, I'm very shy and I have a hard time talking to people, but I can talk to you and say anything. That just touched my heart so deeply, and it's just been a very, very rich experience, and I would do it again, certainly.
My name is Ava Kroll, and I'm in 7th grade. Hello, my name is Evelina Rouse, and I am also in 7th grade.
Excellent. What did you like about the program?
Well, I got to meet someone who I normally wouldn't talk to. I normally talk to people in my own age range, and I also don't really have a chance to talk to other people besides my grandparents. So it was really nice to hear their stories and their side of life, and that they're not just cold and grouchy. They actually have personalities and families and so many fun adventures to share, and that was really special. I liked how I could just meet someone and instantly know everything about them and talk to them right away, and I just had a lot of fun interacting with them.
What's the best part?
That's tough. I mean, writing a monologue was fun, but I think just hearing so many different stories about a person, because I may be fun and bubbly, but I also have parts of my past that aren't as fun and bubbly, so getting to know different sides of a person and really be able to create that bond and friendship was really special for me. I really liked the interaction and between not just me and my partner, but everyone else. And when they wrote their monologues, they heard the whole story about what happened, but the story that they told, they didn't tell the whole story, and they have that secret between each other that no one else knows.
Would either one of you recommend this to another middle school
Yes,
student?
absolutely.
Why would that be?
I hate to stereotype every middle schooler on their phone, but I'll be honest, we're pretty much always on our phone, and being able to meet new people, not just in our own age group, but people you wouldn't normally talk to, getting to meet someone who's much older than you and grew up in a different time, but them not yelling at you, being like back in my day, but instead like coming together as like someone who doesn't know, who isn't as familiar with this time period, and someone who is, and just coming together to create this wonderful bond of friendship and happiness.
I think I would recommend this to another middle schooler because I feel like everyone has their own like little friend group, and they really don't get out of that group of people. So it kind of opens you up to more people of different ages, and even though you don't like have like you're interacting with your classmates too, not just the adults, and that was fun.
Well, she loves getting up early to go to school. She's made so many new friends. Even one friend from St. Martha's followed her here. His name's Augie, and she's just making so many friends and loving every assignment she's taking on, and she even joined the Junior Thespians, and she didn't have to.
What was it like to see her tonight? To see her do this?
I was in awe. I can't believe how brave she was to get on stage. She loves being on stage. She's very dramatic, and I think she's found herself here. And I think she was stifled at her other schools. She didn't have any outlets, and here she has. She would like to join every art class, but you can only do 2. So she had to choose drama and art, although she should be in musical theater and orchestra. She has so many different talents, and
would you recommend this to other
Definitely.
kids who want to do this? So, why?
It's just a very great experience because you get to interact with an older generation than you would usually, because us teenagers usually hang out with teenagers. So it's actually a really good experience to interact with the older generations.
I liked collaborating with like people of different ages because like I said at the beginning of the program, I'm really not exposed to much elders. Like one of my teachers is a little older, maybe I don't like my granny. She lives at my home. Other than that, I don't see a lot of people that are wise beyond their wise among their years. I got those words mixed up. And yeah, I just wanted to see some words of wisdom.
I look at you for Antonia Watson and everyone else. Antonia, I look at you, blanketed in love of parents, sister, grandparents, family. Your future is open as the skies of Montana, where daily memories come wafting on the wings of summer. Antonia, I look at you. Pretty, practical, focused. Know the basics. Stay on your feet. Put education first. Make the beneficial choices. Yes, Antonia, I look at you. Practical, focused, and grounded. Grounded in your family. Grounded in your heritage. Your great-grandmother Beulah tells you of her great-grandparents, victims of the harsh legacy of African enslavement. Knowing this makes me sad, more sad than angry. And yet, our family survived. We are here. And now, all these generations later, we have to make things better. Yes, Antonia, your family survived, and you are here, walking in love and dreaming dreams of things getting better, better communities, a better world, a world where human problems can be solved. Health issues, fuel, global warming. Antonia, you are the promise. Our child, moving forward out of childhood, moving forward toward real responsibility. I look at you, Antonia, singing songs of possibility and love, speaking words of hopefulness and truth. Know your beauty, know your power, and soar, Antonia. Remember the strength and courage of your ancestors, and soar, Antonia. Continue, day by day, to make the beneficial choices, and soar, Antonia, soar into the open skies of your own bright future.
What was it like to, do you spend a lot of time with people who are older like this?
Well, my grandma she's blind and she plays for nursing homes, so when I go to see her, I do. But otherwise, no.
Oh God, so you go to the nursing home?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you're used
fun.
to that a little bit too. Did you learn anything from your elder?
That you always have to believe in yourself.
Oh, that's kind of a big thing. That's really great. What's your favorite thing about this whole program?
I think it's learning the stories and their differences, and I really enjoyed that, doing that and hearing that.
And was there, now you had to rehearse it all, but
yeah.
Once you did it last night, did that change anything? How was that different?
Oh, again, it's the equation, the theater, and the audience, one member, that creates it. So it was different because it was actually an audience.
Do you feel different now?
Yeah.
And I've asked before, do you recommend this to any other kids?
Yes, definitely.
Good.
I think we should do it every year.
And why is that?
Because you just get to learn a lot, and it's a very different experience than what we're used to.
Now you're one of the distinct people who doesn't have your elder as part of the performance. Have you been in contact with him since?
I have a little bit, not directly, but indirectly through his friends and family.
Yeah.
It's hard performing without him because I feel like there's a connection that should be reciprocated, so I don't have there's not as much energy going into my performing, knowing that he won't be able to be there and hear it and feel that connection, but I'm still doing it as well as I can without him because I'm so happy that I got to do this, and I hope he feels so much better.
Oh. What happened that you didn't expect to happen?
We had a very good connection, and I thought that it would be uncomfortable because sometimes people who aren't your age are uncomfortable to talk to because they don't understand your life. But I think it's good that they don't fully understand your life because they lived a different age. They lived your life at a different age, so they have different views on what's good and what's bad, and it helped me because it was like a mentor to look up to.
Was there anything that really connected that you had that was really similar?
We were actually quite different, but opposites attract, and we had a really good connection.
Oh, thank you so much.
Of course.
And would you recommend this to?
Yes, of course. I had such a good time, and I think it's a really good opportunity to have an elder have a teenager's point of view and the opposite, because we all live in the same world, but we have different points of views, and to make those come together has such a beautiful connection, and I think it was a really good opportunity for me, and I definitely recommend it.
I'm Sylvia Alvarez, and I'm in 8th grade.
So, what did you like about this program?
I got to communicate with someone that I never thought I would relate with so much, and that was a senior, and finding all this emotion and letting it all out, and have someone that can relate and kind of help me out through that.
Excellent. Did you learn anything that you didn't expect?
Just kind of communication, and once I got onto the stage and actually performed, I thought I would just freeze, but I didn't. It felt nice.
Tell me more about that. There's part of this program is writing and interviewing and getting to know your elder, but you just said a wonderful thing that happened last night. Was there anything else about last night that changed you at all?
I never thought that I would be able to do that. Like, even at my auditions, when I audition for shows, I freeze, and to perform in front of a bunch of people that I don't know, it felt nice to get it out, and now I know I can do it.
Excellent. Excellent. Would you recommend this to other students your age?
I would.
And why?
Because everyone's different, and if you are to interview someone and you find something in common, it helps you out as a person inside, and it feels nice to get what you are feeling inside out, and to perform in front of a bunch of people and be able to do it makes you feel really good inside.
Every little girl has her dream. Being a princess, having a pet unicorn, or being a makeup artist. Not me. I wanted to be an archaeologist. Digging up bones, analyzing them, figuring out what they are. Not every girl's dream. At least it was different. Come on, everyone! Let's dig up some bones. If you find anything, tell me. Okay. Sorry. I hit something. Come on. I found one. I want to go mail this to the museum. Come on. Mom, I found a bone. I'm going to write a letter to the museum. I'll be in my room. Okay. Love you too. Okay. Dear museum. Close enough. I hope you find this bone helpful. I hope you find a new animal from it. I found it in an open area near my house. Signed, Carol Wolf. Done. Now to mail it. I need an envelope. Got it. And a stamp. Now to put it all together. And done. Now to mail it. Mom, I'm going outside to mail my letter. Okay. Bone. Letter. Now I wait. A couple days go by. Nothing. A couple months later, I figured out that that bone was actually a human bone. Ugh. There was a graveyard that they couldn't build over yet because it hadn't been long enough. So I gave up that dream as soon as I figured out that bone was human. Now I work for a company that recruits people like an editor or a salesperson. I mean, At least I don't have a chance of digging up a human bone.
Mom, do you have the camera? Okay. How do I look? Do I look okay? Oh, wait, I forgot to take this. Okay, now remember, this is just a walkthrough. So I've got notes, and I'm going to be reading them, and we can practice, and then we can finish this up. So, you ready? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, judges. My name is Kyle Patrick Ramone. This is my first audition for America's Got Talent. But if you don't take me, it will not be my last. I'm 12 years old. I was born in Sarasota, Florida, and I've lived here all my life. I go to Booker Middle School where I'm in the VPA, Visual Performing Arts program. It's just awesome. And a shout out to Miss Mills, who has taught me so much. My biggest passion is musical theater. My goal is to be on Broadway. I have been in about 20 shows in the past 5 years. I've even been in professional shows like Evita, and I was an understudy in Sound of Music where I got to go on 3 times. Even if I'm not on the stage, I really just love watching the actors have fun. I love it so much, it's my happy place. It started when I was 6 years old and I saw my brother Dylan in a play. I was in 1st grade. He was in Jungle Book. I thought that was really cool, and I knew then that's what I wanted to do. So the next year, I was in a play, and I loved it so much, I just kept going and going and going. Did I tell you that I've been in 20 plays in the last 5 years? 4 plays a year. Yeah, 20. And I dance a little. I take tap lessons, and I take Broadway dance theater lessons, and all kinds of lessons. Sometimes I'm in rehearsal for 3 plays at once. Like last year, I was in Spamalot, the school play, and then I was in the Addams Family, where I played Pugsley. And then I was in Shrek, where I played 5 different characters. My dad says my brother and I are talented because he sang in chorus in middle school. And he teases us when we sing. He goes, la, 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 la. My parents are very supportive, even though they tease us. Like when we were getting in the car and my mom said, I'm going to sing for everybody. And I went like, no! And then we were listening to Lion King, and she didn't know the words, so she started making up words in front of my friends. But she has a great sense of humor. I love my mom. Anyway, when all the shows are going, it's school, homework, rehearsal, homework, and then shower at night, because I'm not a morning person. When things get me down or I get frustrated, like with homework and other things, I just shake it all off, and I start again. I like to listen to Broadway music because sometimes it really speaks to me, and it feels like it's talking just to me, so I listen to it a lot. I'm very outgoing, in case you haven't noticed, and very brave about what everybody says. Even if they say bad things about me, I know it's just their opinion. My other passion is baking and cooking. I make a delicious brownie. For a picnic with my friends, I made a chocolate whipped cream brownie with chocolate chips. It was yummy. I have one in my backpack now, and if you take me, I'll bring them to the show. I also make basic stuff like tacos, eggs for breakfast. You just whip them up and put them in a pan, and I'm great at microwaving. My friend Cora and I bake a lot. Like we made crepes for breakfast with whipped cream and chocolate chips and strawberries and powder on top. We did it from scratch with no help. Okay, just a basic recipe, but we invented all the rest. I got the love for baking by watching my mom make brownies for the holidays. And my great aunt Cora, my great aunt, is such a great cook. I help her make, I help her make dinner sometimes, and I have some of her recipes. She makes the best stuffed shells. They're so good, and she adds cheese and stuff and makes sauce by herself with bacon in it. So, anyway, so that's about me. So for today, for our audition, I'm going to sing a little song, and for the character, the singing chef. I love to bake, I make great cakes. I know I've got just what it takes. You can count on me to sweeten your treats. A little flour, a pinch of salt, and enough chocolate to fill a vault. You can count on me to make your tummy go yum yum. If you like your icing lemon or even watermelon, I will make your sweet tooth shout, hooray, hooray, hooray. I love to bake some tasty crepes to help you forget all your aches and make you laugh when I am in a play, or 2 or 10 or 20. If you're feeling downish, I can be pretty clownish and make you laugh when I'm in a play. I just sang that again. I'll sing a song to make you strong and move all your blues along. You can count on me too. You can count on me too. You can count on me to make your day. I will sing and dance your blues away. I'd like to give a shout out to my mom for videotaping this. Mom, I love you. Thank you so much. I know you love me too, but not as much as I love you. Boom! Right in the gut.
SoloSynergy taught me that a monologue isn't like a report, it's more of acting out when it happened and like where it happened and stuff, and not actually giving facts about the person, and I really like that.
SoloSynergy is awesome. SoloSynergy is amazing. SoloSynergy is mind-opening.
Alex, you won't believe what happened the other day. You know Richie, right? Yeah, the one with the small circle glasses. Yeah, him. We were playing around, you know, like kids do, and then we seen this door. We never seen it before. So, we opened the door and we feel it was a basement. So, we went in it, and we seen a whole bunch of creepy statues. It was like they were just following us, left to right, front to back. It was just so weird. Then, we seen these candles. I may have, well, I know, we did like them. And then we were just so interested in them, and all of a sudden, hey, you guys down there, come here. And then this sassy nun drags us out of the basement into the yard. It was so embarrassing. Just when I thought I was gonna get away with it, I was handed a letter at the end of the day saying to bring this back by tomorrow with my dad's signature. Yeah, I know, I was so scared to go home, but I had to. When I got home, my dad was sitting in the same old chair. Handed him the letter without saying a word. Went to my room so quick, cleaned anything, everything. Because maybe if he was mad and he said I was cleaning up something and he came to my room, he wouldn't be as mad. 45 minutes passed, still nothing. So I peeked my head out the door just the slightest bit and seen the paper ripped up on the floor. I asked him, did you read it? He was like, yeah, I read it. It's just so dumb. Pay $5 for each candle? Someone must be off their rocker. They must have their pennies in a bunch if they think I'm going to pay them. So I laughed and went to my room. Then, the next day, I came to school. Today. They didn't even ask for the dumb paper back. I wonder if Richie got in trouble. I'm just kidding. I know he did.
Chill, Beaver. When you see her,
You know she's got a style that fits her best, holding her backpack tied to her chest, walking the halls, drifting to class, thinking who's looking because I'm at my best, and fill in the rest, y'all. Walking, thinking everybody's looking for like those aliens I see in the documentaries. Maybe they look just like Kenny and me. Queen Bee, yeah, that's me, just like a smiling pit bull running free, tripping in this world long after it started. Singing till my mortal self leaves me, won't you be startled? Yeah. Megatons of history, just as much science. Friends to me, helping me solve some mysteries, keep shaping me in each new day. Pushing me in a brand new way, singing my songs as I go along.
SoloSynergy.
SoloSynergy. SoloSynergy.
SoloSynergy. SoloSynergy. SoloSynergy.
SoloSynergy.
All right.
Hey, wow. SoloSynergy.
SoloSynergy.
Oh,
One of the last bits there was one of our lovely elders, Dennis McSorley, and he's here. Would you like to talk to him?
yeah, let's talk to him.
Okay, let's see if you can get him to come in.
Hey, Dennis.
Don't I look lovely today? Yeah, I'm out of hair and makeup. Nice to meet you. That was wonderful watching.
Wasn't it great to see that one more time?
Well, no, but not really. I mean, but watching all the other youngsters who I hadn't seen before, and Carol Wolf's little spin and stuff, and seeing Janelle was great. You know, that whole experience. It was just wonderful. I'm only aware now after taking part in this where it all really came from, and it came from growing up and being around my uncles, my father's brothers, who were of course older. They were my father's age and older than him, and we would meet at church or they'd come by, and I was always somehow pulled into listening to the stories they were telling about what it was like being in the grown-up world. And I also lived in my grandmother and grandfather's house, my mother's mother. So I would often have to listen to her complain about the state of the world every single day in a thick German accent. And my grandfather very quietly showing me how he grew tomatoes and all of this. So, and then my dad bringing over a couple of the cops that he worked with, and they would go into the basement and drink some beers and tell work stories. And I would hang on the stairs listening to every single anecdote because my father never really spoke to those things at the table. So I already had a curiosity and connection, that's the word that's being used here a lot, to elders, because I was told to respect them and to be around them no matter what. And they had this wisdom that was brought about because they were surviving in a world of work and things that I didn't know about. And so I was attracted to that. And the other thing is that I wound up being a teacher, which is a longer story. But anyway, once I did that, and I was in this middle school with youngsters who were not interested in reading or doing any of these things. So I had to find ways to get them to write something down or to talk and to do all of that. And that I had a lot of tricks with that I learned from other people, of course, and other teachers. But I did come up with this thing where I asked these kids who said they knew everything and they didn't know anything. I asked them to bring a relative into school, like your grandfather or your uncle or an older person, somebody older than us. And it didn't go like this, but it did go. And a couple of kids brought in, who were honored, it seemed, to come into the classroom like I was to be part of this. Like grandfather grew up in Cuba, and he's telling us all about cutting sugar cane and what it was like not to have shoes. And, the class was pinned into that because they had no idea who these people were and their life experience and how they had survived a life that they weren't just this guy that lived in the building. And the last thing I'll say is that I I was looking for a way out as a graduate student. We were studying something called cultural pluralism, which was this hip thing that instead of having a melting pot, which was a big deal, where we were all going to blend in to become Americans, and you see where we are with that, that instead we should honor our heritage and our backgrounds. So I didn't want to write a paper on this, but I did cajole very easily my wife's grandfather, who was spoken to with the Geppetto Italian accent that old at the time, did not get on the Andrea Doria, took the next boat, if you know about it, it sunk, came to America and has this fabulous story. So I asked him if he'd go to my graduate school class. So I brought in an elder. He was probably in his late 60s or 70s. I was in my 20s. I bring him in. He brought a suit and tie, and he tells these graduate students the story of his immigration to America, seeing the Statue of Liberty, working in New York City, getting married to a girl from his village. And he was my automatic A in that class. A plus actually. And the students in my class who were just students stood up and applauded when he was done for this guy. And he just told his story. I didn't tell his, I didn't have to, he told his. So when I thought about this and getting part in this, there it was. I already had this connection to older people. And as a teacher talking to parents, I would ask them a lot of these questions, and that's part of my own curiosity. So when I hooked up with this, and we had that breakthrough night where we had to meet the kids, and then have a little break, and then they were going to pick one of us. She picked me, and when we connected, I asked her why, and she told me that I made her laugh, and I reminded her of her grandfather. And I said, "Oh, what's he like?" And she said, "Well, he passed." I said, "Oh." So I said, "Well, I'm your grandfather now." And she just giggled and loved that whole thing. And, not to get crazy, but I worked in New York City and Brooklyn where 99% of the students were Black or Hispanic. And I hadn't seen too many Black students or kids in Vermont. They're just not here. It's too damn cold. And when I met her, it took me back to being in a classroom with kids like her, who taught me more than I ever taught them by just sharing their experiences about going to the laundromat and surviving the streets and all that stuff. So as I think I said in the wrap up to this way back, I received so much more than I think we gave. But to listen to these other students so maturely, in a way, speak about what they got from this, what they received from it, was extraordinary. It was extraordinary, and proof that the both of you in this program are right on the right track with the whole thing. And I hope it continues, and it could be replicated in a lot of places, because
happy to help.
the word wisdom was all of that came in the interviews and the conversations we had one-on-one. They didn't necessarily come in the stories that we told.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did use all of what Jael gave me about where she grew up, how she survived it. Kenny is her best friend. And I said, I'm not a hip hop rap guy, but I tried to make a little poem out of it in her style of speaking, which I did the best I could. And she told the story I told her of getting caught in the basement of a Catholic church on recess, lighting candles you're not supposed to light. I didn't know, Richie didn't know, and we were just having fun down there. It was cool, and we were just lighting up all these damn candles, and this little old nun caught us and took us by the ear out to the schoolyard. And I thought that was the day I was going to die, because you don't bring notes home to your parents when you're going to parochial school, because you're going to get worse than whatever was going to go with that note. And when my father ripped it up, he said, they're just asking for money again.
Yeah.
The day I began to love my father was more and more was that day.
Yeah.
Dennis, we actually showed your video today in this present classroom.
Okay.
and as a demonstration of several things. First of all, for some entertainment, but the biggest thing is, we pointed out the fact that you were not in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You were doing something very different for yourself in that kind of spoken word poetry, and I think they got it. It was great because some of the kids from your class were also sitting in that classroom for that part of the day, but you did a great service without being there today by just demonstrating, because they are at a point right now where they are needing the permission to get up and make fools of themselves, or just to know that it's okay to step forward and just do whatever. So
Also, and JL was a good demonstration when we showed JL because that she went for your character. She went for the essence of who you were. She wasn't giving a report on your life. She found something interesting, and she decided to do her version of you.
Yep.
And that was helpful for a lot of the kids because they have a tendency to want to write a monologue like it's a school report.
Yeah.
So,
Dennis, you're in Vermont. People might not know that, and you took part in our first virtual The Bridge, which meant that you were, as everyone, all the other participants were streaming in on Zoom, and so you met JL through Zoom, and all of your interaction was through Zoom, and it was odd in some ways, but we've been talking lately about some advantages to that, and each of these pieces was filmed. Each of the adults filmed something on their own, and each of the students were filmed in the classroom.
Right.
How was that experience for you? I mean, speaking really generally, what was that like for you to meet her that way?
Well, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had, first of all, by the time she got a connection on her cell phone, she's outside. It got dropped. It was hilarious, and I don't even know how to do that. She knows how to do it. Hold on, she goes, hold on, and talking to people. And because we had the template that you had given us about how to ask the proper questions and get enough background information, and then other questions, we only met, I think, 2 times where we actually could. So it was about 90 minutes maybe altogether where she was writing stuff down and I was too. And so what helped was, because I'm here and she was there, was that we actually could see each other. We could make eye contact. It was as good as being at a diner or down in the lunchroom, sharing a table with her and drinking milk with a straw through our noses, and because I like I said, I for any of these forms was fine for me, because when I was a school supervisor and I had lunch duty, which is the bane of, it's the worst thing. You got to whistle and bullhorns and kids are throwing orange rinds around. I used to sit down with a class and have lunch with them and disappear and go sit at a table with a bunch of kids I didn't know and say, what's going on today? How's it going? Must be hell having so-and-so for a teacher. I wouldn't want to be in that class. And they'd all start laughing. And we'd start this repartee, because every elder that's in this thing went to school. So we all know what going to school is all about. And that's the other common denominator here, is that at one time we were that, and I was never given those opportunities.
Yeah.
If we were called on to go in front of the room, we had to read something out of a book or recite a poem from memory. Right. And it was nerve-wracking. It was horrible. It was an assignment. And everybody else is laughing and making faces at you. And so that's how I wound up wanting to tell stories. I had a lot to say, and I still do, that I wasn't allowed to then.
Yeah.
Somebody said that earlier about they didn't get the art exposure. They weren't allowed to do that. And we weren't.
What did you learn something about yourself?
Yes. I learned that that experiences can cross over all different time generations in that sense. That it's not the elders that have the wisdom only. It's also 11-year-olds. I have a grandson who's that way too, and he's like a 47-year-old old guy that's been around the block, and he wants to let you know about how concerned he is about different things, and he just sounds so worldly. And I listen to him because he's not a goof. He's talking good stuff. So, and I learned also from having those experiences, always being in classrooms and being with kids, that I just have, I don't know what it is, but I've always enjoyed that because they've got so much to say. If you get them to say, go ahead, it's like somehow let them know it's all right, you know. So I learned that, and I learned that it's filling up a big void that I've explained that I needed to have filled.
Excellent.
By doing this, you know.
We have the talk back of that year. Should we go take a look at it and see what the other students? Yeah. Hold on.
Do you want to stay with us, Dennis? Great.
I'm right here.
Okay. We may have to mute our mics, but let's see what happens. Talk among yourselves. Yes, it is. Here we go. All righty.
Bravo!
Yay!
It was so good evening, everyone. I am Carrie Mills, and I am the theater teacher at Booker Middle School. I'm one half of the leadership team of this amazing program that you've just witnessed, The Bridge. I'd like to introduce my partners, Annie and Blake. Annie and Blake, give a little wave. So good to see you. Go ahead and introduce yourself now, too.
I'm Ann Morrison. I am co-founder and artistic director of SaraSolo Productions and educational specialist for SoloSynergy.
And I'm Blake Walton, the co-founder and director of SaraSolo Productions. And I got to be a participant through this as well, as well as a facilitator. So,
Karen, do you remember when we started this whole process, you decided would it be fun to have a one-word check-in? Tell us about that. Maybe we should do that tonight now that we're ending.
Sure. So the way that we started off our first meeting was everybody got to say a one-word check-in describing how they were feeling. And there weren't any right answers and there weren't any wrong answers. It was sometimes the first thing that came to your mind. And so we're going to do a one-word check-in tonight that for you kind of describes the entire experience. So I'm going to call on people because you're in a specific order on my screen. And then go ahead and unmute yourself to share your check-in and then mute yourself afterwards. Zoom is a wonderful place to live, isn't it? So here we go. So Cynthia,
Yes.
Can you tell us one word that kind of sums up your whole experience with this project?
Wild.
I love it. And Lizzie, what about you?
I'm going to cheat and say two words. Hyphenated. Learning curve.
Oh, yes.
Good. So, Carol, go ahead and share your one-word check-in about the entire experience.
Enlightening.
Lightning, great.
Enlightening, yes.
Great. And her partner was Maddie. So, Maddie, go ahead and share your word.
We'll go with awesome.
Awesome. Fantastic. Okay. Sanaya, you're up next.
Well, this is big. Victorious, because I did things I didn't think I could do.
Victoria, I love that word. That's great. Aubrey, you're coming up next because you and Sanaya were partners.
It changed the way how I saw things, I guess.
So can you sum that up in one word?
No.
That's okay. So I think this experience is so gigantic that sometimes one word doesn't do it justice. Okay, Ariana, you're up next.
Exciting.
Exciting. And Blake was Ariana's partner. So Blake, you get to go next.
Glowing, because that's the way my heart felt through this.
Wonderful. Neil, coming to you.
My word is sweet.
Wonderful. Sandra.
Cool. It was very cool.
Cool. Julian.
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful? Is that what you said? Beautiful. Bob.
Sharing.
Say that again. Sharing?
Sharing.
Wonderful.
Sharing life's experiences.
I love it. I love it. Kaniko, your turn.
Inspiring.
Inspiring. I love it. Amari, go ahead.
Swag.
Fantastic. Darshay, you're up next, sweetie.
Very fun.
Very fun. Alan, how about you?
Galvanized.
Cool. JL.
It was funny.
I think that's great. It's one of my favorite things, the funny things that we find during this whole project. Dennis?
That was delightful.
Delightful. Carly?
Playful.
Playful. Kenny?
Joyful.
Joyful. Annie, you get to share your word as well.
Heartwarming.
Heartwarming.
And what's your word, Carrie?
My word, I think, gosh, there are so many words, but I'm actually going to go with my word that's my word for the year, which is actually bliss, because it really, truly was very, very blissful.
Very cool.
So Annie Blake, take it away.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions, and not everybody has to answer, but does anyone want to share what was their expectation when they started? What was your expectation when we began this whole thing? Does anyone, okay, Carly.
I really wanted to know about younger people because I don't have any with me.
Okay. Any one of the students, what was your expectation? Oh, go ahead, Bob.
What it was like to be 12 years old again.
Yeah. And oh yes, Kenny.
What it felt like to be in the older days.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Great. What was a challenge through this whole thing? What was a big challenge? Carol.
Learning about Minecraft. Trying to understand gaming. It was fascinating and exciting and scary. But it really opened my mind. Like
Lizzie.
I think coming from a completely different culture, British culture, to an American culture and a childhood culture as well, school culture. It's a long time since I was at school.
Any other students? What was a challenging thing? Oh, yes, go ahead, Amari.
Putting my thoughts down on paper.
Oh, good. Okay. Kenny.
For me, incorporating the acting part of it.
Yeah, it was one thing to have to listen and to interview someone. One thing then to put it down on paper, and then the next thing is to put it on its feet and realize it as an actor. Yeah, very cool.
I think Neil had his hand up.
Neil, yes.
It kind of like creating the physicality of someone else, which for me was very challenging, and also capturing the essence of my partner Sandra. You know, like, who is she that I can represent her? So that was the most challenging part for me.
Right, and this project too, because you only had a little bit of interviewing time in COVID, where we couldn't be face to face doing those normal things. We had to do it this way, which made it even more of a challenge. It's hard to get, I mean, we can get this two-dimensional idea of somebody, but to have the full fleshing was a little crippling, but I'm really proud of what everybody accomplished with that. That was it was really kind of wonderful. So yes, and sometimes you discover, well, I'm going to create up a characterization based also on my imagination, how I got stimulated with my imagination, which was lovely. I have another question. What does anyone want to talk about what they learned about themselves that they didn't realize before? Was there anything that you learned about yourself? Yes, JL.
I'm really creative. I didn't know that.
Ah, good one. Anywhere else? Oh yes, Kenny.
Same with JL. And it's like, well, yeah, same as JL.
Good. Anyone else have learned something about themselves? Cynthia?
That I need to be careful what I say sometimes.
Okay. Even as adults, did anyone learn anything new about themselves? Sanaya, I knew you'd raise your hand.
Music thing. I didn't know it happened like that. And it just, I didn't know that the stories and that those images that I got from Aubrey would just go into a song. I didn't expect that. And it was just like, wow, what is this? I didn't know where it came from. It's weird.
And that happened very quickly for you, didn't it?
It happened sitting at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. And then she said, I don't know how, I'm not going to be able to stop. So I think she should make it a full 45-minute show. Just continue. Why not? We'll help you develop it. Anybody else learn anything? Oh yes, go ahead, Dennis.
Well, it sort of validated and also brought back so much terrific memories, because I was a classroom teacher. And as I've stated in pieces I've put together, I was the learner, and I learned so much from this. That is so valuable. This age thing didn't really matter. I never knew what I was doing, and they were the ones that showed me by every mistake I would make how to get better at what I'm doing. So I was sort of pulled along, and meeting all of the students in JL just kind of validated that I was onto something back then, and I'm grateful for it.
Oh, Carly, you hit your hand up.
Yes, every part of this was a brand new experience for me. You know, face acting, meeting someone in 2 Zoom visits. It was really, really amazing. And I'm very happy with it.
Should be. Bob.
What it was like to be a mentor and get inside somebody else's head.
Yeah. And you guys can continue being mentors to each other if you want. That the offer is there. Hi.
Hey, that's great.
That goes on a little bit more, but
there was a little taste of the kind of talk back and the interaction. It was just remarkable. We have a newer guest too to bring on, as well as Dennis back. But before that, I wanted to make an announcement about our donations.
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, Carol and Dennis. We've gotten a few more donations, and we're now up to 6725, which is great. It's over half. And from Sonny Smith, from Amy Whitman, from Sandra Mulan, from Steve Dickman, and from Prentice Heron. So thank you all for that. That's incredible. We're gonna get there. We've got another hour and a half to.
Yeah, we still haven't done the teenagers yet. I mean, the high school kids yet.
Right.
So, do you have any pearly words of wisdom, Carol, from the wonderful experience?
We welcome Carol.
Oh,
this is Carol Wolf.
This is Carol Wolf, everybody.
Carol Wolf, who we got to see earlier, if you saw it, who was a participant in the second year that we had the intergenerational of the bridge. And Carol is also a board member at SaraSolo and has been for several days. She's also one of our education specialists who works with us in different ways and helps us create some of those programming, and an incredible supporter. So Carol, I don't know if you heard. I think you heard some of Dennis's talk, but tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, I think it's fascinating because I did it twice. And I had two very different experiences, and yet it was the same. So, the sameness is marveling at how mature these young people are and how the perspective they have on their own lives. And I can't remember being that way at their age, where they really can look at how they're approaching things and checking themselves and looking for the right path, which I thought was fascinating. With Kyle, there was some bullying, but he was very clear on his direction of where he wanted to go and what he wanted to be, and he was going to plow through. Relationship with his mother was really strong, very important, and he was just delightful to be with.
Just as Dennis had made a big step forward by doing a spoken word piece and presenting that, you had to do something very different with this one because you were what people didn't get to see. Would you explain what you had to deal with Maddie?
With Maddie?
Yeah.
So with Maddie, we talked for a long time, and I got to know her a bit. And I think I was really kind of taken by her Zen spirit, but I wasn't sure how to be able to express that. And then sort of casually, she mentioned that she's a gamer, and that she sort of mumbled she had a YouTube channel. She was a gamer. So I went on the YouTube just to see, and it was a different Maddie. She was very strong and powerful, and she was always very sure of herself, so there wasn't any question about that. But this was Maddie saying, "I'm gonna get you, go get him, go get him." And I'm thinking, I think I'll just write a little limerick about Maddie. And Blake and Annie said, "No, I think we're gonna do something with gaming about Maddie." And I'm like, So I had to do some research on Minecraft and watch her. I did a lot of watching her and kind of absorbing, how she played. And then my kids gave me a little lesson and set me up so that I could actually see what was going on. I still don't get it, but, and even my grandkids are now doing it, and I still don't get it. But the idea was to pretend that I was actually doing the game, and it became easier as I listened more to her YouTube, because I could start mimicking and getting into the rhythm of what she was doing. And because we were filming that year, I think that allowed us to be able to do it and have a screen behind me with, but because I don't know how that might have, I thought about, how would that have come off as a live? I don't think it would have been as true to form.
Yeah,
that was a learning curve.
Then it becomes a multimedia piece, which you can do in solo theater, where you could have a screen in the background and play off of that as well. So there's ways to theatrically make that whole thing work.
Yeah, but I needed a good push to tackle that.
Absolutely.
Carol, I asked Dennis what he has learned about himself, not necessarily about even another generation, but about himself during this. Is there anything particular that you learned about yourself?
Well, I've commented a bunch of times that after Kyle went through his interview of me, I felt like I had been through therapy. Yeah, I mean, I think, when you're looking back, I thought about how insecure and unsure I was at that age. as opposed to even the ones who are challenged, you know, they have a so much better sense of themselves and the world. And I don't know whether that's the generation where we were more protective, that's the dog,
Yeah.
or just the nature of the personality. But, you know, it did give me an opportunity to go back and reflect.
That's
You
major.
know,
And I saw Dennis shaking his head too. And I feel exactly the same way. I know Annie has expressed.
Yeah, I'm doing one this year because of an extra student that came in. So, and it's, I look at that student so far as I'm writing her monologue, and we connected immediately. I felt like if I were her age, we would have been girlfriends, you know. I meant friends that are girls, you know.
But do you see some of yourself in her?
Absolutely. Oh, totally. Totally. I look at her, I say, we would have dressed the same, you know, her perspective of the world. Well, actually, I don't know. I think she's smarter than I don't know. I could be wrong. I might be a little more worldly, but I think she's pretty smart.
I know that Dennis, from all of your stories, and Carol, from a lot of things I've ever heard from you too, that we are the type of people who never got the manual, or always feel like, why don't I know this? Why do these other kids seem to be, you know, adept at something and I don't get it?
Yeah.
I always felt behind in some form. And I think we see this in these children too. And it has got to, and we've heard it from them too, it has got to be a profound thing for them to see that we were the same, if they can relate. We are the same at their age. That's a real, I think it's a lifetime thing. It's about being, you know, 12 and 13, which is, I say, go ship them off to some play area so they can just get everything out, and, you know, and then come back a year later and be grown up.
And we've always talked about how the teens generation always feel like they don't have a voice, and sometimes as elders feel like nobody's going to listen to us anymore. So to share that space with one another and allow that with one another is just precious.
I found that in the conversation, I kept wanting to interrupt to say, I had that experience too, or let me tell you about that. And I really had to control doing that because I was there to listen to them. But, you know, it was amazing to me how much I could, you know, felt like we could have shared that if we had time over coffee or something, all our similar experiences.
And one of the last things I'm thinking about is, you know, we see Maddie every week. Maddie was your latest partner, and she always asks for you. I'm wondering, is Carol coming, and is there any way I'm going to see her? Which speaks to the relationship that continues on whatever level, but it continues in some form. Just as I know that, Dennis, you made an impact on JL, and as all of our, as they have us, you know, as all of our adults had the same thing.
One of the outcomes, exactly what paraphrasing some of what Carol said, is that I'm reading a writer who talks about basically every human being being a little nervous once they're born, like what is going on, and what's in store for me. And when I listened to JL tell me her background and the moving that she did and her life and growing up under the circumstances that were completely different than mine, I saw the courage in her overcoming these obstacles and having this big smile on her face that made me think that whatever I have to go through, I can go through. So there's another almost subconscious level of strength that comes from these conversations with even a stranger on a train or something that I've had, where I'm like, wow, you know, and you do think that I'm the only one that has fill in the blanks going on. And then you hear somebody else tell you what they're going through.
Right.
And then to turn it into these performances and to bring that above that is amazing. The only thing about me personally, when you were asking about it, was I am not camera ready. This is a medium I'm not used to. So the idea that we performed without an audience and into a lens was a bit unnerving for me, because I've done some film and stuff, but it's always been stop and try it again.
Right.
The idea that we had to rock and roll and go right from the get-go.
Right.
It was
Well, and this is interesting because I want to start talking about the high school kids, because that program in Booker High School in their Visual and Performing Arts Center, they have the junior class is now part of their curriculum when we come in and teach solo theater development. And you're a great segue, because here you joined the SaraSolo Fall Fest with a new solo piece and had a chance to come into our classroom and speak with the students about that. And that's different, because now you're jumping from 12 to 13-year-olds to 17 kids going on 18. What was your perspective of those kids?
Similar in a lot of ways to what Carol talked about. The idea that, come on, if you turn on, I mean, just today there was a school shooting in Michigan, and then you walk into that classroom. Yeah, 3 kids were shot by a kid who turned the gun in and wants a lawyer. And when I walked into that classroom and saw 22 kids sitting there eager to take in what was going to happen in the next hour. They had, I mean, I know it's school and you always have that, and they knew they had guests, but these kids are the kids that aren't getting a headline. These are the kids who are looking inside themselves. These are the kids who are stepping out. And that's what impressed me, because that's not the news that you get about schools. And I knew that when I worked in them, and the ability afterwards that they spoke to Clara, and a couple of kids spoke to me, and this one young lady spoke to me at length. I mean, 10 minutes between classes, really asking probing questions about it, validated that whatever I think I'm doing off the cuff and I have some strengths in, she wanted to know how that happens. How did I do that?
Right.
And she wanted to learn how to craft a story. And I gave her some information in the short time we had. And I told her, basically, you'll be okay, because you want to do it. And that filled me up, because at that age, we still were just standing up and reading Latin out of a book or something. And so, I'm reliving what I didn't live.
We're thrilled that the school wants to make this part of their curriculum.
They have.
Yeah. And you're right. Yeah. I went to the past and I'm in the future, and now we're back in the present.
Schools have made it into their curriculum for the last 3 years.
And would like to now model this to other schools so they can have the opportunity of doing, because we both feel, I'm trying to get us both in here, we both feel that the solo theater experience really is great for wannabe actors, to be able to express your own authentic story first, and your relationship with an audience, which you guys know. That solo experience where the audience is your scene partner really empowers you, so that when you're back on stage again with other actors, you own it in such a way.
Next year we'll have the juniors who were in our first year middle school program, including Jackson, who expressed earlier, we got him on film.
He was our first year, and then he got a chance as a sophomore. He'll come in next year.
So
his experience,
So
I also want to tell you that how unique, maybe not, I don't know about other schools in other states, your program is so different than what we had here in Vermont and what I saw when I was working in New York City. We would have members of the Broadway Musicians Union would come in for an hour, and they'd bring their instruments and they would play, and they'd give some chuck of sticks to the kids, and they were gone. It was 45 minutes or 2 periods, and they were out the door. A visiting artist would come in and do something and gone. But what you're doing is a continuation. It is a course, you might say, where these kids are given something to do. They come back with it. They get time to work on it. Much different from outsiders coming in. You're bringing something unique. So God bless you for that.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to show people who are watching a little bit of what we do in that class. So I may just have you disappear for just a little bit.
I'm going to disappear completely. Is that all right?
You're absolutely free. Thank you so much.
The check is in the mail, Blake. Stop.
I won't stop until I see it. But thank you both so much for being
Good
so
to
much
see you,
fun.
Carol.
Yes, same here, Dennis.
That's great. It is the best. So we're going to show you a little bit of what we do in class, and I have to put my glasses on so I can control here.
This is our high school juniors.
Exactly.
And this is a solo performance.
Well,
workshop.
actually, what we're going to do first, if I can share this, is we're going to show a little bit of what our class does. We teach solo theater development. So one of our first things that we do is we have to talk about the different styles of solo theater. And as you can see, let's see if I can do this here. There we go. Go ahead, talk about solo play monologues.
A monologist is actually, we're just talking to one. I've called Dennis McSorley a monologist. I think it's a little different than a storyteller. I think it's somebody who has most likely a written piece. It doesn't have to be, but it's a written piece, and it tends to be one character and in a monologue over an extended time.
Right. We have those types can be autobiographical. So they take it storytelling from their own life, or people in their neighborhood. So it's coming from actual experiences that they've had.
Then clearly biographical is about a biographical character, somebody either in history or in the present day, anything, but the person has lived on this planet.
And the actors on that kind of research. Story theater is interesting. We always kind of figure out, how do we talk about the narrative piece that is kind of a little autobiographical. It could be a little, but it's more story driven. So we kind of call it story theater.
Spoken word is close to poetry, close to narrative speaking, but it is generally the word is the most important thing, and it's usually heightened language, and it is often read, but it is spoken orally. That's it. There is not a whole lot of other things around it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be, I guess, yeah.
Typically.
A monologue is fun. A monologue is a monologue that have several little monologues within it. They're each individual little characters that could stand on their own, but they may have an arc, a theme that pulls them all together. So it's not just one story, one monologue. It's a series of many little monologues of many different characters.
Cabaret is one person, either fully music. Annie considers it a one-act musical. Typically, if it is music, it will tell a story just as a one-act musical will.
To me, if I ever hear a cabaret artist say this next song was written by, I just want to shoot them. We're there to know about who you are and how the music impacts storytelling. And also we have musical. We have many actors who choose to maybe not link it so much autobiographical, but they create a little musical with storytelling.
Physical theater is just that. It's a combination, either dance, mime, circus art, or a combination of all of them. We had one performer our first year who did an entire hour-long 9 small dances that all told a story.
Not a word was spoken. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you're seeing Bill Bowers, who is like the ultimate performer as mime, but he also incorporates mime, and he also tells a fantastic story.
And circus art is a kind of a combination of all those things. It's a combination of movement, clowning, which is a particular thing, mime,
acrobatics, you name it,
and performance art.
And if you put it all together, it's so magnificent.
Stand-up comedy is a very particular thing that we all know. It's one person with maybe an extended monologue that is over the course of extended time, with something that is at its base comic.
Absolutely. Performance art. I love performance art. It's it's telling story, but you can use all kinds of multimedia. It's really an art form in a sense, but it's performed. So that's a very wide subject. A lot of times people who are putting multi things together like dance and spoken word together, a lot of times can be referred to as performance art.
Toy theater is also specialized. We're showing
puppetry. Yeah, puppetry and toy theater. Right, right. So that be that the things that we have to go through in our classrooms. We also, and I see if I can pull this up. This may have to do this way. I may not be able to make this maneuver at all. And if I can't,
it looks like it is.
It doesn't want to move.
Right. We don't have to.
No, we don't have to. We often have a quick, brief history of solo theater. We look at going back to the 1700s and when we have looking at people who've actually started become the monologists and people who begin the beginnings of discovering telling many little monologues, so they become the Monty Pythologue, like Ruth Draper. And we just go quickly through and give it an idea of who their ancestors were, the people that came before us on stage. So it gives them a sense of respect before we go into launching into our each section. We kind of do like appreciation, solo theater appreciation. We get to look at different artists. In our website, we have a playlist for them to go in and explore. Cabaret appreciation, solo physical theater appreciation. So they can get a chance to go in there and look at other people who have done it and get inspired by that.
So we start immediately with some writing exercises after they've seen some of the history and have a sense of different kinds of mode of solo performance. And the writing exercises take them into all kinds of places within their minds. We ask them to challenge themselves and look outside maybe ideas that they've stuck with. They often write things that may not be performable yet for them,
right,
because they're exploring some part of themselves that isn't necessarily public yet. But it does start delving, and then they start forming their idea of how they want to perform it.
And that can change a lot. We'd always tell them that the beginning of a play and the end of the play has the most rewrites. But just trying to find the subject that they want. But for today, we were in the class with the new group that are coming up and we'll be performing in January, solidifying the last parts of it. And some of them are feeling, I think I need to throw all this out. I've got another way of I want to express this. Just guide me through and what I do next. Sitting in down and just saying simply, okay, I know you're having a hard time with this subject. Maybe look at it a different perspective. Maybe maybe you're writing it for someone else to perform. Maybe you're writing it as if somebody else is doing it, but it's your story. And Sunny Smith is the teacher of that classroom who has a great love for solo theater, and she's been fantastic. Tell us what she said today when she was working with one of the students about the Kleenex box. I'll tell you about it. Clorox box, actually. She was telling her that, from Blake over there can see the Clorox box and see the whole of it. But my perspective where I am, my view is obscured. So I only get a part of it. Does that help you make sense of how you can go with your piece? And the student said, got it.
Exactly.
Got it.
Just change your perspective a slight bit and see if you come from a different way. Then we are going to give some spoilers right now, because what typically happens in the performance, which is a very big part of this, because it's very important for each of them to be on stage alone, and talking from themselves, not necessarily about themselves always, but from themselves, or expressing from themselves, singing, and there's movement also. That may be exclusively what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens when they are finally in front of an audience,
right,
not only with their family, and friends, but strangers as well.
And they kind of get that progression in class because we want them, like today, was to stand up and just no matter where you are in your piece, by standing up and speaking out loud with some intention will inform you. So that when they're finally done, it does. And they've got to go, aha, now I got an idea. Oh, that was the spark that I needed. Sitting in your apartment, just reading it over or talking to someone else. But having that other element of somewhat sort of performing it informs. And then the next phase for them is to let the actor take over.
Actually, and they're now working with another classmate too, because we know that we say that solo work and getting to it is a lonely experience because it's one person, but we like to have another student be an eye for them, and sometimes a director, but oftentimes just all they need is an eye.
Well, and don't you feel that because we both direct each other too, and other people, that the director is the other eye.
Sure, absolutely, because the director, especially in solo, has to be allow the actor performer to be vulnerable, and has to be safe, and have to offer a safe thing. And I think this is one of the beauties of what, if I could speak for both of us, is what Annie and I bring. There's a safety, along with Sonny Smith. There's a beautiful safety in the room. Each of the students understand where they can and just where they're not quite able yet to get to. But we do want to challenge them. So let's play some of this film, because it says a lot of things that we could also say. And
right.
It's nice coming from
their perspective,
mind.
Sure.
What is this we're seeing first?
We're talking to the high school, letting the high school kids tell their story.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Scott Keys, and I teach theater at Booker Visual and Performing Arts High School. And I just want to talk a little bit about SaraSynergy and the great work that Annie Morrison and Blake Walton and all of the SaraSolo people have done with our juniors the last couple of years in giving them a chance to create these solo pieces. It's so great that these kids get a chance to invest in their own life as being a piece of theater, to take stories from their own life and create a work. It gives them a confidence and a sense of self that is just really, really incredible and so good for them as young artists.
One of the things that these solo pieces do for our students when they're working on them, they get to investigate their own life and delve into what makes them tick as a person. Stories of their own life that they mold into some sort of a one-person theatrical story. And it brings them such a sense of self and self-esteem in doing this. They become a star of their own life, so to speak. The other great part is as they head off to college, so many colleges want what they either call a wild card video or even essays. And from doing this project, with both from playwriting and from performing them, they have material as they're going into college to find that unique profile piece that they can send off to colleges. And it just really makes them stand out, I think, with colleges, universities. The SaraSynergy project for our students really helps them find their own voice, who they are. We train the students in how to audition for roles, how to sing, how to work on audition pieces, monologues, and to perform other roles. But when they are able to take their own life story and create a dramatic work, whether it be humorous, whether it be heartfelt or homespun, they just find a real sense of who they are and where they fit in this ongoing world of theater and acting. Such great experience for them to be able to spend time with themselves, their own thoughts, and translate that into a performance art piece.
But even
though we are all doing the same exact thing, the process of getting there is different.
Something that really helped me with my script writing is I'm a person who builds up other people. So if you say something out in the audience, I'll respond to you. So I made my piece very like interactive with the audience, not in a sense where I was like, oh, what's your favorite cake? I would just say something that I didn't even realize it was funny. I would say something about my dad. Like, I think a good example was I said something about my dad. And I said something about him working in a retirement home. And they were like, oh, that's kind of funny. And I was like, yeah, because he's old. And he's going to be in there someday. And then it was like, oh, that is so uncomfortable. Like, oh, are we supposed to laugh right now? Like, and I was like, yes, you can laugh. It's okay. And then my dad stood up and did a little funny little thing. All right, okay, bye.
All right, Andre.
Jesus. SoloSynergy is an enlightening program that brings students not only performance skills, but also life skills. Confidence, communication, and the ability to express are just a few that I gained and am so thankful for.
SaraSolo has taught me patience by having me drive alongside snowbirds. Oh, Sharon's calling. I'm eating my orange. All right, I'm just gonna swerve carelessly, not thinking about anyone else, still opening my orange. It's fine, Floridians don't care. Sorry, Nancy, I'll call you later.
I have a panic disorder. I can feel my throat closing, and my eyes growing green, shaking and spinning. I toss and turn in my broken bed, side to side, over and over, and I still can't find my body to be comfortable in the tight skin that I am in. My skin is too tight. My skin is too tight for my body. My body's too small for my mind. My mind is way too much for this earth. It seems like I'm floating in a galaxy's black hole and I can't ground myself. I try to swim out of the black because I keep finding myself, and eventually I'll splash into the blue and I'll feel free. I'm trapped, concealed down at the bottom of the well. I'm in prison, solitary, inside, tied up in a straitjacket with electrotherapy, hitting, zapping, and burning my nervous system, causing me to lay with no control of my body and a straight stream of paralysis. And I'm tied down so tightly, and I can't breathe at all, and I've lost all my oxygen supply. I look down to see my feet off the ground, and I'm levitating. I feel like the devil himself has a hold on me, and he won't let go of me no matter how hard I scream at the top of my lungs.
And before I get to this next part, I want you all to observe me. I know we have spent probably a couple 6 minutes, but just take me in a little bit. Sorry, I didn't even know that you guys were there. Now, that was getting a little bit weird for my liking, so let's continue with the story. So this man asks me, you know what music is? I said, you know what? As a matter of fact, I do. And he said, you know that Kanye guy? I said, well, yes, of course. Then he said, you look just like him. Are you two related in any way? And I said, Why, yes. We were twins who were separated at birth. And then slowly drove away, rolling my window up, leaving that man in absolute shock. And on that note, I think it's time to pull out the tearjerkers. Specifically for you, Mom. If you're not crying already, you're not my real mom. And Dad, I would expect you to cry too, but I don't think in the 17 years of me living you have ever cried, so I'll let it slide. Now, I've noticed that there are a couple of parallels between my relationship with my father and California. That even though they are thousands of miles away and not always with me, my love for them will never fade away. If anything, the more time I spend away from them, the stronger my love grows. So thank you, California. And Dad, everyone turn and face the bald, short man. Not gonna lie, I'm completely and utterly surprised that you actually showed up. So thank you. And I love you, Dad. That's not written in the script.
I'm so in my own fucking head, I can't take it sometimes. This is when the insecurity kicks in. This is where my fantasy turns into a nightmare. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Kinda flat. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. That was pitchy. In other words, told my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. What the fuck are you doing with your hands? Fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship. Stop looking down, idiot. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. I can't do it. I can't take it anymore. I'm done. Yeah. Like I said, in my own head a lot.
SoloSynergy was an opportunity for me to realize that every story in my life has purpose. If I just pay attention and really focus on it, everyone can learn from everyone. So everyone really does have a story. Thank you, Annie and Blake.
Y-U-N. Yun. It means cloud in the Chinese language. And it's also my middle name. At the beginning of the year, I told most of you I hated my middle name and that you would never know it. As of 30 seconds ago, 4 people in my life knew my middle name. And now we're here. My middle name is part of my heritage and my life, but it also caused me so much pain. From the very beginning of my life, I was never wanted. I mean, I'm literally adopted. One man's trash was another man's treasure, I guess. Come on, look at me. When someone didn't want me, they placed me in the donate pile for those in need. Those in need were my parents. They are both wonderful, creative, beautiful people, and they're also white. I am anything but white. When I looked at my parents when I was younger, I didn't see a different race or ethnicity, I just saw my parents. Growing up, they weren't white, they were just mom and dad. As great as it was to be oblivious to the existence of race, all fairy tales must come to an end, and we must face the real world. My real world consisted of private school. And I know on Sundays some people went to praise the Lord, but I pretty much went to hell to study Mandarin. That didn't really work out for me, But Sundays were the only days of the week where I got to be around people that looked like me. I guess that's probably why my parents wanted me to keep learning how to speak statistically the hardest language, even at the age of 4. Even with all the culture, the language, the food, the clothing, right down to the hooded eyes, it still wasn't clicking. Now, being a Jewish Asian doesn't really earn you a lot of playground cred in elementary school. No friends for me. What a shocker. Like learning about the terracotta warriors. Once we were shown pictures of the warriors and all heads turned towards me.
Through Annie and Blake's mentoring, I have been able to improve as an artist through SoloSynergy.
I'm very thankful for Annie and Blake for including us in SoloSynergy so we're able to express our thoughts and feelings through performance.
What I gained from SoloSynergy was a new love for poetry and writing things like that to inspire me.
I enjoyed making my solo play with SoloSynergy because it taught me a new form of self-expression.
SoloSynergy was an opportunity for me to realize that every story in my life has purpose. If I just pay attention and really focus on it, everyone can learn from everyone. So everyone really does have a story. Thank you, Annie and Blake.
January 25th, Monday. I was just body checking in the mirror and I got new gym clothes. At first I thought they fit my body really well and made me look really good. But after staring for a bit longer, it became very clear that I put on weight. Seeing it made me petrified. Even though my mom just called me petite, even though I went to the gym today, even though the gym clothes made me feel good, I just had a wave of panic course through my body. Lately, fitness has been very fun. In the past 2 weeks have been really good, and I appreciate my body, but right now, I'm scared to go back and check in the mirror. I need to go back to school, and this is way too much pressure on myself. I look completely fine, even if I am a little heavier. Even if I gained a few pounds during the month, I feel good, and that is what should matter. My friends still love me. I'm still the most hilarious girl. I am loved. I don't need a six-pack. I'm getting stronger and faster every day. Even my friends think I'm still totally ripped. Isn't that enough? I get validation from absolutely fucking everywhere but myself. My goal this week is to change how I talk to myself. Even if my waist isn't as tiny or if my arms aren't slimmer and toned. I am worth happiness. I deserve love. I'm a good person. Lifting weights doesn't determine whether I am worthy or not. Lifting weights doesn't determine whether I'm worthy or not.
Welcome to today's 30-minute HIIT workout.
Today we're going to shred you up.
Today's workout is going to be a ton of fun.
With no repeats.
It's just 10 minutes, but it's going to be intense.
All right, you ready to warm up?
Ready to go.
All right, so let's go. Booty back and down with a jog in place. All you have to do.
You guys ready?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Let's start with our 30 seconds of gorilla burpees in about 10 seconds. Here we go.
Drive up. Breathe. Make sure you breathe throughout.
Give me a couple more. You can do 3 more, maybe even 10 more.
If you've never been fit, you never will be fit.
Have your abs, they're there. Everyone has six packs. It's just revealing them, right? Getting that layer off the top.
If you're trying to lose weight, being more active is a great start.
You knew what you were doing when you clicked on a workout that said intense, so you came to work.
If you've never been fit, you never will be fit.
I have been so fortunate to have SoloSynergy in my classroom the last several years. This type of work has really opened my students up.
Annie and Blake's work has really helped me to kind of think about things that I would have pushed away before and really consider them and why I've been feeling like that.
Annie and Blake's work really helped me center my own writing and figure out exactly how I want to put my thoughts into words.
Annie and Blake's work has helped me connect with my true self.
Annie and Blake always bring such an exciting energy into the classroom, which makes us excited to work on our projects with them, so it's always just a very fun experience.
SoloSynergy has really helped me express my ideas and my feelings down on paper, which was something that was very difficult for me to do beforehand.
Well, there we go. I'm going to bring Carol back in, if that's all right. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
I'm going to go like this so I can be closer to my Blake.
I'll do this.
So you haven't been into the high school kids' classroom. What'd you pick up on that?
You mean watching what I just saw?
You have been watching them for 3 years.
Yeah,
or 4 years.
but to see them in the classroom and in the process.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I think that's
we got to bring them in.
Yeah.
Because it's
some of this I hadn't seen because I couldn't come to one of the. Every time I get, whatever that word is, I should know. Verklempt. That word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's just amazing that these.
It is.
They learn to tell the truth.
Yes. Yeah. I was just going to say that's so powerful.
And the kids who have gone off to college now have been very thankful. They keep asking for the footage that they have. They're only showing about 10 minutes of something that could be a larger piece. That's what we always frame it. Don't just write for 10 minutes. Some of them discover, though, that that's all they need to say in that 10 minutes. They want to find another subject. But some of them actually want to move forward. In a little bit, we'll show the progression of Katie Cairo. But a lot of them have been saying, oh, my gosh, this really opened the door in college. It really snapped them forward in the whole interview process. And it's a great calling card to get into college.
And these are the entire junior VPA class in acting. It's anywhere from 21 to 24 kids. This year we had 21.
21 this year, right.
It's beautiful to see them as seniors too when they make the next
this
step.
natural mentoring has happened among them. The seniors really say, pick me if you need any help. They take care of each other in class. So the idea is like they're like an example of the retreat that we want to have with other people. It's already built in the classroom. But the seniors like to come in and then they have a whole day where they just work with them because they've had experience of. So it could make us more happy. Yeah. More happy. Should we take a little bit of a talk back of what happened last year? We were like last year, you were dealing with virtual. The students had to, as you see, we saw on stage, but then they had to do some virtual, and some of them did some amazing performance art because they had the restriction of not being able to be in front of a live audience. So they would go out into the field and dance on a car or add all these other. So even though they may have thought they wanted to have a spoken word piece or just it automatically became a performance art piece because of the nature of what had to happen.
And we cut these in a way that doesn't require you to really know what each of the pieces were, but it's mostly these are both monitored by Huck Walton, our son, and his Accidental Jacket Entertainment. So let's take a look at that one first.
Only a couple years ago. But yeah, exceptional work. Really, really great job. I would like to start with Sunny before we get started into these performances. And I meant to ask this originally. I didn't get a chance to. Knowing your position in the school, what was the full what element did you play in these particular pieces? Like how did that work out in this setting?
Sure. That's an interesting question because I think I play a variety of roles depending on the student. But for all of the students, I mean, obviously I essentially serve as the warden to make sure that these guys are staying on track, but also the conduit between Annie and Blake and the students and making sure that communication is flowing. I might read their pieces ahead of time. They might come talk to me about specific things. I do know a couple of the pieces because I was there to help directorially and to help with filming and prop needs, anything you might need. In the past, it's been anything from like I might have to help find a location or help with costume. It could be just about anything. So I guess my role is kind of like, if I had to say it, it's like fairy godmother. I'll help you make it happen. I'll help you make it happen.
That's wonderful. Someone make her a shirt. That's great. Yeah, in some of our past shows, when we were dealing specifically with older population who've maybe done solo pieces in the past and are part of the festival, it's a very unique experience talking to the director and the performer and anyone who's contributed to the piece, because it's a very unique experience we're finding. And so I was very interested to get a take on what your part was in all of this, because other than being a teacher and facilitating that way in the school setting, I'm sure it's a very different experience when you are dealing with pieces that are coming from your actors. It's their brainchild that they're putting on stage or on film.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is, the way that the program is structured, the students generally don't work on their own as much. They're working in groups, and most everything are group projects, or they're shows where it's not just one person. There's obviously multiple people. So to give them the chance to experience a process where they have to look so deeply within themselves and rely on themselves, even though we all know that the solo play process is a collaborative effort. Obviously, we're all here tonight, but you have to look so far in and so truthfully into yourself. I think that was a great awakening for these guys, and I'm proud that they were willing to just ride that process out and see where it would go.
Right, and also I just want to chime in on that. A lot of them, and I would probably let them talk about it, found another person in the class to help direct the piece and or help flush it out. Right.
Yeah, and maybe even just be an eye, just be some other person, to.
Plus, we also had seniors that came in to mentor in any possible way they could, or even help with some of the filming too. So it's solo theater, but it's in this situation it's very collaborative and it's lovely.
And this anybody?
We are 2022.
You're all juniors here. Okay, fantastic. Out of curiosity, and if you don't have an answer to this, that's perfectly fine. But does everyone here? Is everyone here looking to continue this as their career, or is anyone here knowing already that this is something they're exploring now and not something they want to continue? Go ahead.
So my plan is, through theater, I have found other things such as costuming or doing makeup for shows like this. And that's really what I want to do for my career. And I've just found through theater, because I also enjoy writing a lot, I found through theater that writing is the perfect outlet for me to kind of write out my inner monologue that's constantly going on. And it's just a good outlet for me to put in the energy that I get from myself and the ideas that I get in my brain, while it's still not necessarily the career that I want to pursue. So it's kind of like my creative outlet.
Got you. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
I also am not pursuing theater. I think that like through theater, because I've done this since about 5th grade. So through theater, I've definitely learned so much about myself. And I feel like when I look at my peers around me, not necessarily the theater group, but like my peers at just school in general, I feel like I kind of know more, or I've explored more about myself because of theater. And so through this, I've kind of learned like how I want to proceed in life. Like I believe I want to be a clinical psychologist when I grow up.
Fascinating.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to see how like I came to that conclusion. Cause like for years I was like, I'm gonna be in theater, but like it's always cool to know that like I don't hear this a lot, but like theater's my backup plan. Like
I love it.
usually it's the other way around, right? And so it's really awesome to think about like through theater I found this other thing that I'm really passionate about, and that I can still go back and do another thing that I love, even if the clinical psychologist doesn't work out.
But that's why this can be profound, because people find themselves, and often very early, before they graduate even, they're off on another avenue that maybe, and this brings them to anything they do in life. So that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I hope that question doesn't offend anyone, because I think this is the perfect time to be starting to explore that, to be more sure of the things you want, or to discover brand new avenues that you hadn't considered before. And that's why I think this kind of work is unique in a school setting. If I had it my way, I think engineer students should be exploring this kind of work. And maybe someday that will happen. I think that'd be really fun. I think the benefit is clear when you're a performer. But I think this kind of exploration is great for everybody, and everyone has that story inside them.
Doing a solo piece that is very personal, it's almost autobiographical, or has some sort of personal connection, is incredibly brave, terrifying and brave, and profound. And it changes the way you perform as an actor the rest of your life. It makes you a better performer when you're on stage with other actors, and it makes an incredible relationship with your audience.
Sunny, has this had an impact with your classrooms?
Absolutely. I mean, as you said, we've been doing this for 3 years. And when Annie and I first talked about this, you know, I was saying, I've got this group of students who are just amazing writers, and I want them to be able to express this, because a lot of the things that we do are group projects, and sure, they write, but what about something for themselves, something where they have to peer into themselves and really examine who they are, and see how far, how deep they can dig. And so this seemed like a really, really perfect fit for us. And, you know, Blake and Annie come in and work with the students and show them what the possibilities are. And then we take class time and outside of class, and we explore what this might be. And sometimes the ideas go out the window and new ideas pop up. And sometimes it's that one idea and it just keeps rolling and rolling. And we work, interestingly enough, we give a lot of feedback and work fairly collaboratively. You wouldn't think that for a solo play, but you really can't make a solo play happen without all these people.
You have that happen with that outside eye. And so what happens is, in this particular classroom, Huck, it feels like the retreat that we've always wanted to have for everybody else, where like-minded artists could come in and work on their material in the safety of other people who do it. So in a sense, this class is a great model for a retreat we'd like to have with people who aren't in high school.
And there were restrictions, obviously, because of COVID, and we're doing it on Zoom and doing it this far up. Acting students. Yeah. I mean, Sunny and Scott have to deal with this all the time anyway. But there is something kind of also incredible about it, because there's another kind of intimacy that comes with being just as we all are here, alone in a box, and up close.
Right.
So there's something.
You're at the year now where you have 1 year left, and you're kind of discovering what you want to do next and how this program has affected you. Is it everyone's here goal to continue in the performing arts, or has this led you in other directions as well? Go ahead and speak on that if you're. Go ahead, Liam.
So I actually am looking to become a marine biologist and conservation worker, which is not really that related to the arts, but I actually, I think that something that I can take out of this is that I've been thinking a lot about how I want to, when I'm older, work on a film or a documentary that I can help make and use some of the skills that I've learned in my acting classes to present information or like giving speeches on certain things. I've always been really passionate about wildlife and nature, and got my scuba diving license, helped like restore a coral reef. It was things that kind of inspired me to want to go down this path. And I've always loved performing in theater. I don't know, it's not really something that I want to pursue in as a career, but I can see it helping me a lot with, I don't know if this sounds weird, but with presenting information on things. It's something that I've been able to grow my skill of public speaking and being able to entertain somebody with witty humor behind like a really big message. And so I think that my idea of what my future is going to be like didn't really stem out of performing, but it definitely will be influenced, and my skills that I've gained from these classes will definitely help me along the way.
Wonderful. Ricky, did you want to say something? Or you got a couple hands up? I think I just happened to see that one. No? Evie, what did you want to say?
Okay, so I want to become a zoologist. That's like my dream. It's what I've kind of always wanted to do because I've never really liked interacting with people. In general, I'm way more of an animal person, and I've always enjoyed doing theater. But you know, I kind of realized at like a certain point that like it's not what I do want to do, but I still enjoy it in a way, and I especially enjoy stand-up more, which is what I kind of wanted to do with this, because I enjoy, and more so than even theater, I enjoy making people like feel things and feeling things myself through like some form of media. So I think stand-up is just a really good way to just spread positivity, and through just like even the worst experiences, you can make jokes out of it. And that's been a really big part of like my life. And so I think I learned a lot of valuable things in theater, but it's just not maybe what I want to do for the rest of my life, but it will still be with me for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. Do you find that you have had an easier time communicating with people being part of a performing arts program?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a certain amount of like memorizing lines for an interaction almost. That's like I'm playing a character that it's like for this interact, but it's not really a character, it's just like enough confidence to be like the best me to put into a situation.
Sure, absolutely. That's fantastic. Aubrey.
I really just want to go into anything creative, so whatever I fall into, if that happens to be theater or acting, then great. But I just love making art. And interestingly enough, my love of theater led me to start my business when I was 13. And so that's become a really big passion of mine. So that even though it really has nothing, you would think it has nothing to do with theater, it opened up a whole new thing for me.
What's your business?
I make bows. I have a company and I've run it for almost, it'll be 4 years next month.
Wow.
And I'm still, it's very much involved in the Broadway industry. So through it, I've met amazing performers and people and families. But yeah, it's kind of showed me that I just like to create things and relate with people.
What do you mean it's through the Broadway world?
So they're all Broadway themed. And so I've done a lot of the like Broadway merch, and I've done like the opening night gifts and things for shows. So yeah.
Wow. Well, if you want a quick plug, what is it called?
It's BroadwayBoutique.com is my website.
Also, I'll throw it in the chat.
Thank you.
That's amazing. That's really interesting. So yeah, you're very directly using another creative outlet for theater.
Mm-hmm.
That's fascinating.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. What? Wait, did someone? I missed somebody? I feel like someone else had their hand up for that. Yeah, Olivia.
I realized that I really enjoyed the production side of music. This past summer, I did like a free trial on like a production software. And for this project, I went to my dad again and I was like, Dad, can you buy me this $80 software? And he was like, yeah, sure. So that I really enjoyed, but I've had a lot of hobbies throughout my life come and go. So whether it's swimming or gymnastics or like being in the circus, I realized that I love that energy you get from an audience. And since singing was a constant in my life, I was like, how can I incorporate both of these without having to chase that wild dream of being like a famous pop star? And I was like, theater, perfect. And I feel like theater is going to be one of those things that come and go, but it doesn't mean that those things that go never benefited you, because I've learned so many things from theater itself, whether it's going to help me do a job interview or just like help me with my people skills, because we know I need that. And theater has just helped me so much, and it brought me to my guitar.
Let's see it.
And
there it is.
Her guitar sadly weeps.
Yeah.
Well, there we have it. That can go on for a while, but absolutely. I'm going to see if I can bring Carol back in.
Right. We wanted to give you a taste of what they thought their life would be like after school, and it's really interesting for me to always see what the kids are really interested in, besides just being thespians. And also how we've always believed that theater permeates everything, and we wish that theater was given to every student as a requirement.
Yeah, I always say algebra should be the elective and theater should be the mandatory. Mathematicians hate when I say that, but hey, it was said with love. Tell us what happened with some donations here.
While we were backstage, we reached $7,000.
Yay!
So
Actually, a little over.
Yeah. We reached 7,000, and so like Dennis McSorley gave us a lovely amount, $200. Ruth Conover, great friend, another 50. I don't think we said anything about John Shirley and Preston Heron. Yes, we did. But we are now over 7,000, and so we're on our way. We're more than halfway through. We still got
keep telling your friends.
Still got another 25 minutes. Actually, we have a lot more time. We have another 25 minutes for this, but we're going to open donations button up we're going to keep it open for a while.
Oh, absolutely. This is the giving season, everybody.
Yeah, let's see.
Why not? Give to the kids.
Yeah.
I want to show a very particular student from Booker High School. She was our second year, Katie Cairo. I had a wonderful chance of working with her when she was 12. She came to the Broadway Theater Project when I was on faculty there and was fantastic. She was so open and willing to do anything and
You're talking
pleasant.
About a project that was not in Sarasota, that was all separate from all the
Right.
things we did.
Yes. It was
Okay.
another project altogether. So I got to meet her then. In high school, and she is, well, You're going to hear her talk in a second. But she finished her 10-minute version that they do in their year. She went into senior year, and we said, would you be willing to really finish that? Because I know she had a deep desire. She said in the talk that she wanted to. And she said, yeah, she took the challenge, and we put her in last year's Fall Fest with a full complete. Now, this is during COVID, so it had to be filmed. And so we're just going to show you a little bit of her talking, a little bit of what she presented, and a little bit of what happened. Yeah. And a little bit happened when she did the festival. And she knows this got her into college. She knows that she wants to take this piece and continue writing it throughout her life because she knows it can grow. So I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull up this fantastic Katie Cairo. Maybe not. Maybe I won't.
Hi, my name is Katie Cairo, and I am a junior at Booker High School, and I had the privilege of working with Ann Morrison and Blake Walton in the Flying Solo division of SaraSolo. Now, what is Flying Solo? It is a program that helps students write and create their own solo theater. The goal is to create only a snippet of a larger piece that will one day become a full solo play. And what the process looks like is with my class, we got to pick either being a director, a writer, or a performer, or a combination of the three. And we worked with our directors to write our pieces and eventually perform them. Now, Anne always says that even though it's called solo theater, it truly is a group project. And that is entirely true, because even though you're writing independently, you still need input from your class, and it really just brings you closer with the people around you, being in that vulnerable of a state to share your work. Now, what I learned from this entire process is how to accept my work, because when you're writing all of these different drafts and you're coming up with all of these ideas with your director and your class as a whole, you have to learn how to take constructive criticism and be open to new ideas as well as your own. And the thing with me was I couldn't learn to like my work, and so I was going through all of these different drafts, but finally when I got down to my final idea and what eventually became my performance, I had to sit back and say, you know what? This is my work, and I love it, and I love myself. And I think that this entire process was just so therapeutic for all of us. I love you. The way you stand, the way your eyes light up when you laugh, how you use excessive hand gestures when you talk. I love the little things, how you grab your chin when you think. I love how you hate when I look at you for too long. I love how you get annoyed when I make you listen to my music, even though I hate it when you do that. I love that I hate you. I love that you practice your smile in the mirror. I love that your hair sticks straight up. I love that you're sometimes so oblivious to my feelings. I love that when you sleep, your mouth hangs open slightly. I love that look on your face when you're caught without your mask on. I love that you try your best. I love that you hate me. I love you. I wrote that for a very special person when we were still dating. We are not dating any longer. How awkward.
Delete. 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 Oh.
God, he's just too beautiful in this one. I love you. The way you laugh. How you use excessive hand gestures when you talk. I love the little things. How you grab your chin when you think. How you get annoyed at me when I look at you for too long. How you hate it when I make you listen to my music, even though I hate it when you do that. I love that I hate you. I love that you practice your smile in the mirror. I love that your hair sticks straight up. I love that your mouth hangs open when you sleep. I love that you're sometimes so oblivious to my feelings. I love that you try your best. I love that I love you. I love that I hate you. I love you. God, I wish I could just drive over to his house, barge through the door, and recite all of that to him. But I can't. Because we're no longer together. We dated for a grand total of 7 months. In teenager years, that's a decade of marriage and 3 children. I realize that the description of this play is wrong. This isn't the story of a teenage breakup. This is the liberation of one fucking strong, chubby little half-Jew. I am Katie Cairo. I am a grandfather clock that cannot wait to chime. I feel as if I've sat still for too long. I like screaming to music in my truck with Marcus. I feel things way too deeply. I love knowing that I can change the world. I wonder if time is speeding up or slowing down. I hope to never settle. I am Katie Cairo.
I haven't unmuted myself, so I'm saying it makes me cry.
Katie is at USC now as a freshman. She's a performance major.
No, she's at UCLA.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's at UCLA.
She's going to go.
Yeah.
Oh, she's at UCLA.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very different thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Katie, forgive me. And we're regularly, well, somewhat regularly in touch. At least we know what's going on with her, and that was a great adventure for all of us because we got to see her become, the powerful woman, and she inspired a lot of people.
And Carol, she wants to continue this piece because she knows she'll have the college perspective to it, and then the high school thing will get a little bit smaller, and then later, and then that'll get even smaller. So it'll be a lovely evening of different discussions.
Right. And I imagine it'll be a little like this too,
Yeah.
which will be very fascinating.
As she matures, and yet I look at her and I go, "Well, you're darn mature as it is right now." She's so well spoken. I mean, what she said in the beginning of that little video, I'm thinking, "Who are you?" Well,
And does she want to continue with theater?
well, she's in theater right now,
Yeah.
Theater?
and probably film and directing and all kinds
She
of
will
things.
probably be directing.
Absolutely.
I think she's interested in directing too.
Yeah. Those of us who know our son Huckleberry, who was moderating the last interviews, has a company out in California, and they're in connection already. I mean, he's planning to use her on set for stuff. So she's very excited. That's how this all turns out. We probably have about another 15 minutes for our program, and we want to talk about beyond bookers. We got connected through, well, Carol, this is great because you and I had to sit in the audience of a thing called Dream March. You want to talk about that? Let's make you a little bit bigger. There we go. All right.
That's nice.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was a great experience for us because they have. Excuse me, you must leave now.
Children.
Yeah, I mean, the concept was that they have weekends where students apply and get selected to come up, at that point was to come up with a business plan for a nonprofit. So nonprofits were invited in, and we were to pitch our ideas to the students. Students were going to select who they wanted to work with, and then come up with a plan, and then the best plan would win a cash prize that they would share with the nonprofit. So Annie and I went in and did our pitch, and we didn't hear back, so we assumed we were done. And then when Annie was in the supermarket with her chicken, she got a call and said, "Can you get over here right away?" Because a really smart group of kids decided that our program and the Embracing Our Differences program could synergize.
Right.
And so they invited both of us back to work on a presentation with them. And the amazing thing was that when they finished and everyone presented, that group that represented the two of our organizations won the grand prize.
Right.
So,
and lovely, we unbeknownst to both Embracing Our Differences and SaraSolo, we also got a cash prize, which was great because that was the monies that we both needed to collaborate together. So what we did was this idea. The students came up with the
understanding
idea.
what Embracing Our Differences is. It's two contests, and it's a writing contest where people submit small pieces of poetry, pieces of writing, statements, and also artwork that is blown up to billboard size. And those statements are now attached to the billboards that are the winning billboards. We thought it would be incredibly inspirational for a group of students, and we chose a group of Out-of-Door Academy students who are middle school to write monologues based on the inspiration from those paintings, and maybe the writing below them. So we found Thayer Greenberg at Out-of-Door Academy,
and with the idea that they would perform it probably live over a weekend around the billboards, but then COVID happened.
Yes. So
we had to film it. Let's see just a little bit of just a few of them. When they came up with, and they had to film these.
Perfect. The rapids swept me quickly down the river as I contemplated the meaning of the dark mist hanging over the air, heralding some disaster. Few other animals frolic in the bank, but it never lasts long. Some inevitable catastrophe always strikes and drives them away, here on the banks of hope. Just the other day, a few birds migrated here, laying an egg, foolishly believing that they would, or rather, could, settle here. Just like I knew, they have left and have yet to return, but days later, the eggs still felt warm. Yes! The stupid nest finally succumbed to gravity and follows the laws of physics. Sadly, the egg didn't. How couldn't it crack? Oh, it is! It's hatching. Well, at least it probably won't be able to cross the... Who am I kidding? Nobody can cross the river. Except me, of course. And yet, I am attracted to the egg. Intrigued, even. Thoughts of why and how tumbled through my brain, suddenly filled with love, based on one condition. None. Nothing at all connected us two, except for the fact that we were both avians and lived in the same planet. Yet I love as if I was this little blue bird's parent, yet I'm not. I had cuddled the chirping, brilliant blue child onto my back, my super soft feathers a pillow without a case. and push off into the river of possibility, navigating its currents as only I could. One day, this little blue bird will fly and cross into hope. I will see to that. The shadow advances to give way to the light, the mist twisting and turning incomprehensibly beyond. Impossibility. Possibility. It's possible because of love.
There I am, just sitting in my yellow truck, and I see an old man trying to cross the road, when out of nowhere, a woman comes and helps him. I drove off thinking nothing of the scene. I finally parked the color streets down, and in the corner of my eye, I see a woman that needs help with her groceries, so I jumped out quickly to help her. I held the door for her and helped her carry her groceries to her car. As I walked away, I heard a loud noise and turned to see someone had fallen and was lying on the ground. I rushed over to help, and a swarm of people rushed to her aid. I realized immediately that this is a woman who helped the old man cross the street. We quickly call an ambulance, when suddenly from the crowd, a man yells, "Let me through, I'm a doctor." And through the crowd, I see his familiar face of the old man who was helped by the woman in need earlier that day. He moved quickly to the woman and began to help her. But it was too late, and the woman did not make it because the accident was too severe. I felt devastated. There's nothing I could do to help. I felt so sad. How could so many good things lead to something so bad? We all left the scene, not saying a word. I drove home silently and sat quietly in my room. But thoughts ran through my head. Why? Why did this happen? How? How could this happen? This is not fair. Weeks later, I attended her funeral, and as I stood across the crowd, I saw his familiar face once more, the old man. I began to look around, and I saw more and more familiar faces of those who had tried to help. Everyone in the community had come to pay their respects. This gave me hope, and reminded me that one good thing does matter.
What's going on? Why is everyone here? Oh no, it's the truck. Either someone is coming, or one of us is going. Here it goes. They're opening the doors. Wait! Who is that? Or should I say, what is that? He's rainbow? He looks like a cow. He acts like a cow. But is he a cow? I'm going to go over there. Oh, but I can't. But I should. But he'll think I'm weird if I do. But he'll think I'm mean if I don't. Oh, I don't know what to do. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Stay back! He's walking up to me. Why me? Oh. Hi. What's your name? Gerald. Nice to meet you, Gerald. You want to go eat some wheat in the field? I can show you the best spots. Alright, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the grocery store. Yes, that's the name of my shop. I mean, what else would you call it? The bank. So, would you or wouldn't you like to check out these items? You would. Alright, then move on up. So, first up we got the adult diapers, the toe fungus curing jam, how to jump by, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name. Oh, you don't want me to say these over the loudspeaker. I get it. It's personal. Hey, I really can't afford another bad review. You see, I only have one review that I gave myself, and I think I accidentally gave myself a 2.734 star review, if I remember correctly. So you see, I really can't afford another bad review. Hey! Just because I look different doesn't mean I am different. I may be strange on the inside, but that has nothing to do with being a bad grocer. Oops. I really need to find a different job.
I used to love the rain. Last year, my grandpa bought me this umbrella. It was orange and red with little silhouettes of animals all over. Each rainy day it kept me dry, and every day it rained, I put on my boots and jacket, grabbed the umbrella, and ran outside to play and explore all the animals in the puddles. One day, and I remember it so well, my dad and Grandpa got into a huge argument. They shouted and insulted each other, and when Grandpa left, I felt like my heart broke. I never went out to play in the rain again. Each day when the sky opened up, I felt that heartache like it had just happened. I would stare at the rain pouring down, each droplet forcing me to relive that terrible moment when he slammed the door and never came back. It was like how that umbrella had protected me from the rain was my love for him and had just been struck by lightning. I remember the time we saved the turtle on the street by bringing him to a nearby lake. I hope that he remembers how much we loved and cared for him. One day I was sitting in my room as the rain came down and I heard a car door shut. I went to the window and there was my grandpa. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I threw on my boots, zipped on my jacket, and grabbed my umbrella, ran down the stairs to meet him. We hugged for a long time under the umbrella. We didn't even make it to the front door. We stayed out and watched the frogs jump around in the puddles, and I didn't feel sad any longer.
Oh. I just have to say, who are these kids? These are 12-year-olds. I mean, there's some pretty profound thoughts. They wrote these in class. It wasn't like they were off and their parents, told them what to write. This
In
is
class?
in
Oh,
class.
wow.
Yeah, we did various exercises with them, and we had to do everything over Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it a little restrictive. Most of the kids were in class. A couple were at home on an extra bit, but they, we had a little bit of influence getting them to these points. But they also have an incredible teacher, Thayer Greenberg, who
really guided. She got to know them
she
really
guides
well.
them.
Right. And now when we had the talk about it, we don't have time to show it. And Huck was monitoring it. He decided to stay out as much as possible, just kind of behind the scenes. And one of the students, which wasn't in here, was describing writing the experience and the thought process he had. And then when he changed this, and Huck said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, I have to butt in. How old are you?" And I was listening to a 52-year-old playwright describing his process.
His latest play. That was wonderful.
It was profound.
Great.
So yeah.
We've been through a lot tonight, and I'm so pleased that we raised over $7,000.
Keep going.
It got up to 7,000. We're going to leave the donation button up, and I think that we'll throw some of these videos up on a page on our website,
so people can go. It's like, I wish I could see that again, or I want someone to take a peek at that.
We have not spoken of our late President Emeritus
and co-founder
and co-founder David A. Coyle, who was intrinsic in getting us to where we were, and as a nonprofit theater company. David and Annie and I all had this idea, and he did the administrative work to make it happen. A few of our donors have donated in memory of David A. Coyle, and that will live for some time. I would say if anyone else wants to do the same.
We're going to have a winter fest. We'll be announcing it soon, probably in March. We're moving it in March, and the whole festival is dedicated to David Coyle.
That's right. There we have it.
So,
But thank you all for
Yeah.
staying with us.
I think we
and-
probably have to end this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We probably do.
I know they say this is Giving Tuesday, but I think you don't have to stop today.
Yeah. Go
It
tell
is-
your
yeah,
friends.
tell your friends.
If they
Yeah.
didn't get a chance, what you have all done, and all of our donors through this day have done is keep all these 3 programs alive.
And help
Because
us so we can grow more.
They literally
Yeah.
would not stay alive.
We
if
would
it
like to
weren't
work
for
with
you.
Easter seals, Southwest Florida, because that population would like to express solo. We wanted to work with the military academy.
And we want to enrich these programs. We want to scale them so that we can be in other schools.
Absolutely.
So
help
thank
us.
you.
Please
Thank
help
you.
us. That'd be
And
wonderful. Okay.
There we have it. Carol, thank you for
so
joining us
much.
tonight.
Yeah. You the best. Good night, everybody.
Oh,
okay.
Good night.
Yay, SoloSynergy. Synergize the
Yay.
prize. We don't have a song yet.
No. All right.
Synergize the prize.
No. Write a solo play about it.
Okay.
Bye.
Let's do that.